Hey, good afternoon, 488 folks. Wanted to get in touch with you here and talk to you a little bit about diversified portfolios. So, one of the more fun things I ever did was acquisitions and mergers um, in the corporate world. Being on an acquisition team was a lot of fun because you're basically buying businesses. But we need to back up the horse a little bit and talk about this whole package of what diversifying is. Okay, so there's a lot of questions that we have to answer about diversification or expanding or partnering or buying. Okay, so the questions are really pretty basic, but what do we want to do? Do we want to buy market share? Do we want to buy process technologies or techniques? Do we want to partner with a person that has more capability than us? It could be capability in manufacturing, it could be capability in distribution. Who knows? What do we want to do to further our business? What is our goal? Further sales, further profits. How do we do that? Well, there's a lot of different ways to do it. So I'm going to take you down a road here, and it's a short road because there's a lot to each step here. So we're only going to go over the basics of it, but nevertheless, you'll get my spin on it, okay? So we want to increase sales. We want to increase profit, one of the two. If we want to increase sales, we want to increase market share, we want to increase our basic top line, right? We can do that in a variety of ways. But say we want to do that just by growing sales alone. So lots of ways people do that in the retail industry. They partner and co-brand with people all the time. All the different motorsports industries or car industries, motorcycles, etc., they will co-brand with certain people, or those companies will co-brand with the motorcycle people or car people to grow their sales. Okay, so co-branding is a form of diversification in a way. All right, we could diversify into a whole nother industry and sell our products there. Okay, that is split into two different segments. One is related, one is unrelated. So we can look at this as, hey, I want to go into a related segment that I'm not already pursuing right now. All right. So say I sell, let's look at Stryker Corporation down in Kalamazoo. Say I sell medical equipment. Well, I am the world's premier supplier of basic, housing hardware, right? Beds, gurneys, whatever, and instruments for medical. Well, what if I wanted to sell that in some other industry, but different? So what I'm saying is, what if I took my expertise and I went to another industry and looked at an ability to sell this in some other market space? Well, what I would have to do is study a market space that I could effectively and profitably approach and be able to expand myself in. All right, so in this particular case, in medical devices and medical equipment, we could look at some unique furniture need type industries, maybe office furniture. Okay, why? Because obviously that's a pretty huge market, number one. Number two, it's a global market, and Stryker's global. Number three, it requires the same equipment that Stryker's using now. In fact, Stryker's slightly overbuilt for it. You get where I'm going with this? So they could take that same technology, instead of being FDA approved in medical device, they could sort of package it so that it's not something that's approved by the Food and Drug Administration. All right, it could be approved by some other government entity, but they actually could sell this to a different industry. What they're bringing to the picture is this awesome reputation and awesome manufacturing, and now we're packing more under one roof. So guess what we get? Scalar economies, right? So that's kind of a related, all right, example. Let's look at another related example. Look at the car industry. I want you to look at General Motors. Look at how many car companies they had. Chevy, Buick, Olds, Cadillac, right? Pontiac. Those companies all produce cars, but a different derivation of car. So what does it mean? Well, they kind of went after the consumer in a little bit different way. They filled different holes in that perceptual map, but they diversified in a related way. And it was real easy to look at the strategic fit because obviously we're talking car company, car company, car company, all under one big umbrella, car company. Strategic fit was a no-brainer. So when we measure a strategic fit, we're looking at, hey, it's not necessarily does this circle fit in a circle, but can we cram an oval into a circle? All right, when we look at a strategic fit. When it's really odd is trying to put a square into a circle. So what does that mean? Well, if I was in the airline industry and I wanted to diversify, I probably wouldn't diversify from the airline industry into the athletic shoe wear industry. Fair? There's not a very good strategic fit there at all. You get my point? Okay, so what are ways that we can partner? Well, heck, we can go into things called joint ventures, all right, which we've done. In the corporate world, we'll do that with some of our customers at times. So we'll work with our customers on projects, and we'll develop contracts, and we'll develop NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, so that we can work together on a particular project and develop it for the better of everybody in such a way that, hey, if this pops out a product that we can sell, okay, customer A gets 8% per unit, right? That's one way. And it usually works out really well. I've done it a couple times. Awesome. Okay, so those are strategic partnerships and development. We also call them joint ventures. What's a joint venture? That's jumping in. We're kind of married, but we can break it off at any time, okay? Working together on particular projects or market space development that isn't sharing resources and it isn't buying or having controlling interests. That's a joint venture. We're equal partners. Nobody controls either, okay? All right, so we can take it from there down to full mergers and acquisitions. Now, there's a lot of stuff to cover under mergers and acquisitions, but I'm going to cover a couple minutes worth here. Look, again, related or different. If you want to buy somebody, you want the audience or your customers or markets to applaud it. You want them to say, yes, yes. Like if Apple went and bought Ford, oh, that would be cool, wouldn't it? I mean, think about the technology going into the vehicles, right? People would think that was cool, okay? That gives you that synergy, that 2 + 2 = 5 thing, at least short term from the market. Now, when do you get it long term? Is when this company over here has a really unique process and they're awesome at it. And you over here have this really unique product that you sell really well, but you don't make it that well. And if you two hook up and join hands and become partners, boom, you've got everything. Marketing, process, and the audience applauds you. Now they're getting what they want, faster, better, more efficient, effective, higher quality. 2 plus 2 will equal 5. You'll get that synergistic. You'll lower your cost between the two companies, and you can raise your prices because it's worth more. That is synergy, and that's what you want. That's called a merger, or it could be an acquisition too. Whatever the case, when you get that response and you get that result, that's money. All right? So these are a few of these things as we go down the road. I was just looking at my notes over here to make sure I'm covering everything. So I think I've got most of that. We call these things portfolios. The company I worked with, you guys can research Millercron. We had at one time 12 companies, and if you do the history on that company, you'll see we bought 12 companies in about 2 years, and I was on one of those acquisition teams. Very cool. We had partnerships happening all at the same time. It was an awesome time to be a part of that company. Unfortunately, there were some greedy people in there that ran it into the ground to take a lot of money out of it. So it didn't work out. I was kind of glad to get out of there once those people came in. All right, that's a very brief overview of portfolios. All right, read that chapter. It's a great chapter. Gives you a better perspective. And why do we want portfolios? Because there's 3 rules of business: cash flow, and cash flow. You got a good portfolio, so you bootstrap a portfolio. What that means is I've got companies when the industry's down, they're up. I got companies when the industry's up, they may be down. So you are always bringing in cash flow. Have a great week.